For Chapter 2 in business ethics, the first part that we are to discuss is um, basically the primary stakeholders and sort of the role that they play when it comes to a business's degree or level of social responsibility. When it comes down to it, there are six primary stakeholders. There are also secondary stakeholders, but for right now, I'm just focusing on the primary ones. So these primary stakeholders are the ones who have some sort of stake or claim within the business, through their productions or markets, industries, outcomes, revenue, whether they're, they put money into the business and they're going to be able to take some money out, different things like that. So the six primary stakeholders are customers, employees, those are two really big ones, shareholders, suppliers, government agencies, and communities. So basically, when I talk about those and I talk about the role that they play, because all these primary stakeholders are going to play a huge role in how socially responsible a business is. For example, with customers, customers a lot of the time want to shop from companies and businesses who share the same values when it comes to social responsibility. So that's big. If you're not living up to the standards of those customers, eventually, you're going to lose a bunch of customers and you're going to lose a lot of revenue. Another one would be employees. Same sort of concept with that. Employees want to work for companies who have that same sort of ideals about social responsibility and ethics as well. There are a lot of people who wouldn't want to work for companies who test on animals. They're animal activists, and they would not work for companies that do such thing. So that's big because they could lose out on a lot of potentially really good employees. So it's sort of the same thing. So those primary stakeholders are going to have a lot of role and say in how a company is going to sort of run things. Basically, there's also stakeholder orientation, which is the degree to which a firm understands and addresses stakeholder demands. So again, sort of how they're going to be able to do it. They have to be able to take note of the stakeholders' relevant, demands, and they have to identify those and put it in action, or else they're going to lose a lot of business. So for the second part, explain the concept of social responsibility, the different dimensions, the importance to an organization, as well as the outcomes and benefits. So for that first part, social responsibility is basically going above and beyond what is required by law, which I remember you saying in class. So there's the bare minimum, which is the law. If you do everything that the law requires, you're good, but you could be doing a lot more to help the environment, per se. I know one of the better examples that always comes to mind for me would be the one that we discussed in class about CO2 emissions. If companies are required to only have a certain level of CO2 emissions and they meet that requirement, that's just doing the bare minimum. But if they spend extra money and are able to lower their emissions, that's something that's going above and beyond what is required. They don't have to do that. They're spending the extra money, but it's part of what they want to do because they believe in it, that sort of thing. So social responsibility also comes down to the image of an organization. that's something that is very, very important when it comes to bringing in more customers and more revenue. Again, we discussed in class, big companies and corporations or whatnot donating to little kids' sports and communities like that. It's all part of the image to make themselves look a lot better. And of course, you hope that they're going to do it for the right reasons and not just to bring in more revenue, but to actually be able to help out and kind of make the world a better place. Basically, with that, if they are doing it for that reason, a lot of good things are going to come out of that, because you're going to have people who want to buy more from your company, which is going to bring in revenue. You're also going to have investors potentially who would want to collaborate with you because they see the progress that you're making. It's different things like that are going to get your company noticed and be able to eventually generate more revenue. So that's basically the significance of it. It comes down to the image, and with that, the benefits and outcomes start rolling in. More revenue, more customers, better employees, better employee turnover rate because they want to stay within your company, your business, because you have good social responsibility skills, and assuming you also have good ethical sort of skills. So a lot of good things come out of that with being socially responsible. And you're helping out the planet, for example, or helping society move forward, different things like that. For the last part, they will experience problems associated with their corporate governance. Discuss the concept of corporate governance and problems. So basically, what corporate governance is sort of like the rules, the structure that they have, being able to, when they put all of their ethical things together. So how they run things. Are you going to have proper rules in place to prevent your employees from being unethical? Different things like that. How does an organization run, process, and the practices that they do, as a whole, as an organization? That's basically what comes down to corporate governance. There are problems within corporate governance. Basically, different issues. I know one of the assignments that we have right now has to do with data privacy. That's something that is very big because a lot of people have different views on that. So data privacy, consumer protection, sustainability, all those things kind of tie in with corporate governance. Basically, they want to remove the opportunity for employees to make unethical decisions. That's what comes down to. You want to have the good practices, proper views, proper environment for your staff and stuff like that. There are problems when it comes to that because a lot of times there are people who are going to disagree. You might lose employees, different things like that. But you want to care about your stakeholders, different things like that. So that is basically everything that we looked at for Chapter 2. Also, I should say there are 4 levels of social responsibility. Forgot to touch on this for question number 2. The different dimensions of social responsibility. So for this, the different levels would be economic, legal, ethical, and philanthropic. So those are the 4 different levels of social responsibility that you can sort of take your company in and try to make the world a better place. So yeah, that's it for Chapter 2.